Star Wars. Yep, this video, you've already read the title, and I know what you're wondering. What? A YouTuber trying to cash in and trying to talk about Star Wars in 2021? And to that I say, yes, that's what we're gonna be doing. Because I feel like that there is a lot of stuff that this movie franchise, in my opinion, is way overrated. Like, okay, sure, you can have other movie franchises that are overrated, like every single Marvel movie ever made. You have, well, the Fast and the Furious, of course, the ever so lovely movie trilogy. Well, not really movie trilogy now that you can consider it, of HBO Max, releasing old classic movies and trying to bring them to a new audience. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether that was a good bet or not. But anyway, let's just talk about what I'm gonna do in this ranking list is I'm going to be controversially ranking all the Star Wars movies. And why I say controversially like this, well, apparently Star Wars has a lot of hardcore fans. And what does that come from? A lot of hate comments and stuff saying that Jar Jar wasn't great. Our whole franchise relies on Baby Yoda, aka a green turd with eyes. And to those people I say, if you want to dislike or hate comment this video, go ahead. And to be clear, I am not, to just point it out there, I am not a hardcore Star Wars fan, unfortunately. During the, oh, wait, sorry, I'm getting a phone call from someone, hang on. 1 second. Hello? Sorry, guys, it's YouTube. Yeah. What? What do you mean I can't say that? What? But what I can't say those words? But oh! Dang it! So, thanks to the, Chamosa Gyrus, I decided to rewatch all these Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. And after looking at them, and after going way past overdue, I finally decided what is a great way to think of a franchise than to rank them individually. Now, before I go, there are stuff. This review will have spoilers of all the movies. So if you want to go into them blindly like I did, you have been warned. Secondly, I've only seen these movies once and once only. I wanted to rewatch them again for this review, but I'm lazy. My mother reminds me of that every single day. I love you, Mom. And third, these are my opinions, and it's okay for everyone to have their own opinion on stuff, whether it be opinions that are good or opinions that are bad. What the? No, this is a non-political video. No, get out. Sorry. Anyway, let's get right into it. Alright, so first off, I also will not be counting any media, any Star Wars media that is from TV shows. While I admit I did see The Mandalorian, I did not seen the other two, Clone Wars and Rebels, because after the amount of episodes there are, that is going to be another topic for another video, and I'll get to it when I can. Probably never will, but whatever. So, since it looks like we're not going to get a Star Wars movie for around 3 years, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get through a single sentence without saying Star Wars, let's do it. Okay, long intro over, and with Rogue Squadron still being made, this is my ranking of the Star Wars films. Number 11, Rogue One, 2016. Okay, so Rogue One was the most boring movie of all this trilogy that I have seen. Well, it's not boring to say the least. They are trying to establish this as its own series, but obviously it's not. It didn't work for me. Rogue One, it was supposed to be a prequel. There is some parts that are just boring and just kind of out of place. And yeah, how much do you really remember of Rogue One? In 2016, what movie do you remember watching? Yep, Rogue One I just watched it and didn't get anything out of it, because that's how boring it is. When it comes to writing a new like a new spin-off trilogy, and the only series that did it better, surprise, was Fast and the Furious with Hobbs and Shaw. And before people started leaving in the comments that, why is Hobbs and Shaw good? I'll make another video on that in the future, probably. I don't know. But anyway, Rogue One is one of the most forgettable movies for me. And before you say it's a fact because it's a spin-off, it's a fine movie on its own, but there's nothing really there that grabs your attention. Oh, parents get killed in the beginning of a movie. That's something that I've seen millions and millions of times with these flippin' Disney movies. And I don't really have a lot to say about this one because it's pretty much forgettable, and I don't know what else you want me to say about it. So, it goes at the bottom of the list. This is going from worst to best. Next up, we have Solo from 2018. Okay, so there's a reason Solo's higher than Rogue One, because at least you know who the character is. Rogue One just was its own movie. Try to imagine this like as if the Fast and... No, we're not going to reference that movie 2 times in a row. I need to think of something better. Try to imagine watching Rogue One. Think of it as going into an Endgame for the first time. You've never seen any Marvel movie without any context of who these characters are. But instead of Endgame, that's pretty much the feeling of Rogue One. Solo, it's an okay movie. There's nothing really I have much to say about it. Like, sure, it is bad on some fronts, but there is some redeemable quality here. Now, out of all the characters, we can pretty much agree that Han Solo is one that we all want to know more about, since the other trilogies of, like, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and so on, we got to know more about these characters and their backstories. And Solo was just that, just the backstory of more of Han Solo. It's filler and nothing really to get invested in. Well, unless you like watching, I don't know, movies about characters. And if I'm gonna be honest, I never really liked Han Solo in the movies. Like, I felt like he was just this standard Western character, which we have seen done many times, not just in movies, but in video games too. But amongst other things, it's an okay movie, but it's just kind of pointless and nothing but filler. So, yeah, this movie does get higher up because it is actually trying to tell a backstory of one of the characters. And I'm assuming since it probably, if it did well, or I don't know if it did well or not, I didn't really bother to look at the Rotten Tomatoes page, but people liked it, and it was forgettable too, so Disney's just going to be spitting it out and trying to cash out on every single character that they have. So, it gets number 10 on the list. Before we continue on, these trilogies that I'm about to talk about, I decided to rank them in their own trilogy, because when I'm ranking these, I can't really mix up the trilogies together, because For me, like I said, I am new to this Star Wars thing, and it feels really unfair just to do it like that. Also, it's my flipping list. So you can go on YouTube and try to make a list and do all the work and such. Anyway, I'm calling I'm calling this next trilogy the Obi-Wan Trilogy. Alright, so right off the bat, we have Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Revenge of the Sith is one of the, well, I just don't know what to say about it, to be honest. Revenge of the Sith is pretty much one of the most, just, the movie itself was just, you could just pretty much tell that this movie had a lower budget. And before I go, I'm not gonna criticize the cast or anything. They seem like good people and had fun. However, this movie was bad. Bad, bad, bad. And there are a lot of points I want to talk about. Lots that I could say, but then I'd make this an hour long, and we all have things to do. Except your boy. So anyway, Revenge of the Sith is kind of bland and not really worth talking about. The movie doesn't really have much to say other than the fact that it just shows that a good guy can turn into a bad guy, and then the bad guy burns. It's basically a dumbed down version of Terminator 2, except take the Terminator and the other Terminator, make them friends for a while, and then just make them fight at the end. That's what this movie is. And dear Lord, Anakin's acting.
General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected.
Easy, R2.
5,000. Hold on. This whole operation was your idea. All because of your training.
I don't care if they know we're married. You're trembling. What's going on? That's wonderful.
You're so beautiful. No.
But in this movie, he just does not give a crud. And before you go against saying, don't criticize him, for me, the acting was just bad. Just so bad. You can just, the acting has gone down, and I can understand, like, maybe it was just burnout, because after doing 3 of these movies, you could pretty much tell that these guys didn't really have much else to do in these movies. And they stay at the bottom of the list because, they stay at the, well, third bottom of the list because it was just, how did we go from puppet Yoda to CGI Yoda? CGI, now before you criticize, I don't hate CGI. I think CGI is really great. It made us do things that we could never do before. Hello, Jurassic Park. But in this case, CGI just doesn't work for me in these movies. Like, okay, yeah, I know it's a sci-fi, but the CGI really works on, say, the space battles, because most of the aliens and stuff in this movie is practical effect, and it looks great. But instead here, you can pretty much tell. Heck, people on YouTube could have made this better, made better stuff. And if you think I'm being mean to a movie that came out in 2005, and to that I say, you are right. I'm being way too mean. But again, it's a nice introduction it's a nice little way of introducing us to Leia and Luke and how they got separated and stuff. But that's not really saying much after we just had more of these movies, so yeah. Alright, next up we have The Phantom Menace that came out in 1999, and was the first movie in the Obi-Wan Trilogy. This movie was just flat out bad for me. This movie just wants you to care so much, but like I'm gonna say it once and I'll say it again, the CGI is so noticeable. People on YouTube have made better animations than this, and I would expect more from a company that makes billions and billions of dollars. But come on. But again, this was before Lucasfilm was bought out by Disney, so again, I could just be criticizing again for a movie that came out in 1999. But when you look at it this way, The Phantom Menace was just a weird little way of bringing back some of these characters. And again, I know this was a prequel, okay? Before you point that out, I know this was a prequel and it was supposed to tie in or whatever, but just come on. You could have done better than this. And just Darth Maul as your main villain just doesn't work, alright? That's what all these trilogies try to do. They're basically retelling the same story that came out in 1977. It's like recycling an old car and then figuring out it doesn't work. And just making a new car, but making the same old thing. That's what these movies are. And yeah, okay, it's fine, because sure, it's supposed to be soap opera box-ish or whatever, but it's okay to be your own person. Like, come on. Look at it this way. Darth Maul is basically Darth Vader. Mr. Kylo Ren is basically Darth Vader. And every single person that learns to be a Jedi is basically Luke. But one thing I will say about the Obi-Wan Trilogy is that it does have its own little ideas and takes further away from that. But most of the time it's just boring talking. But what I'm about to say is about to cause so much hate that, one second, Jar Jar Binks is the best character in all of the Star Wars movies. Wow. I thought when I said that, at least some rabid Disney fans would, like, kill me, or rabid Star Wars fans. But I think we're good. Huh? Hello?
I will find you, and
I better finish this review quick, or else I'm about to get slaughtered. Alright, so, yeah, Jar Jar is a good character in these movies. A lot of people criticize him and say he's bad or whatever, but for me, he's actually not that bad. Whenever there was boring exposition, Jar Jar was the one that just pulled away my attention. Looking at it this way, he did actually show a better story that I am campaigning to get him his own TV show or whatever. Hashtag justice for Jar Jar. He doesn't get enough credit that he deserves in these movies. But also because just when you look at the movie, look at Jar Jar and then look at the actual movie itself. Jar Jar provides a whole new bunch of entertainment. But yeah, for me, Phantom Menace didn't do much. Alright, next up we have Attack of the Clones, 2002. Okay, now, Attack of the Clones, to be fair, is an actually decent movie. And sure, it does do the whole, like, teacher-student thing, and the CGI is more terrible than ever, but it's not that bad. Like, sure, again, there are people that are trying this and failing at it. And then there was the whole Padme thing that people are still talking about. But is it just me, or is it weird that whenever I see Padme in one of these movies, she still looks like the same... What was she, 12 years or 13 years? I don't remember, but she still looks like that in all these movies for me. I don't know why, but it's weird. Anyway, and well, no offense to the actor who plays Padme. No offense. I'm trying not to get killed by hardcore Star Wars fans who can rip down my door. Anyway, let's continue on with this little complaint, I guess, about Attack of the Clones. It's pretty cool, and there are some characters and some decent fight scenes. One of my favorite fight scenes was when Obi-Wan was about to go attack Jango Fett, and then they have this little fight on the rain roof thing. It was awesome, even though again the CGI was horrendous, but still good. And yeah, the romance in these movies that they write is just cringy, weird, and it's just doesn't translate great. If they focused less on the romance and focused more on the actual plot, maybe it would have been good. But no, it was not. So yeah, again, I'm not trying to criticize these movies or anything. I think the Obi-Wan Trilogy would be fine if it had a few changes, and we all know Mr. Lucas is good at making those. But I feel like this movie trilogy could be okay. So, yeah, Attack of the Clones, a decent but not great movie. Alright, next up is the Disney Trilogy. So this was after Lucasfilm was bought out by Disney. And to start off, what puts me above the Disney Trilogy is that, well, first off, the effects are just way better than the Obi-Wan Trilogy, because again, if you think I'm being mean to a film these films that came out during the 2000s and one that came out in 1999, just look at Jurassic Park and then look at these three movies and tell me that I'm a CGI hater. Go on, I'll wait. We have time. So, let's talk about it. The first ever bad movie for me in the Disney Trilogy is Rise of Skywalker, 2019. This was the movie that, was the last live-action performance for Carrie Fisher, aka Princess Leia, before her untimely death, rest in peace. But this movie just was so bad and so much of a mess. It's like if you can ram in so many cliches, but then make those cliches not make sense. But even when I speak cliches, let's look at this for a second. Some scenes that just didn't make no sense to me. Force heals monsters, and okay, that didn't lead to anything. A dagger that pretty much tells you where you have to go. Great job. That was hard heroes work. And of course, the biggest critique I ever have to make in these movies, everyone here are hypocrites. But yeah, The Last Jedi for me was not a great way to finish off this whole trilogy that you built up. Think of it as like Marvel making their endings to their movies, their endings to their TV shows. Yeah, put that in your head, because even though you can write a great ending, that doesn't mean you can do it for, 11 of these movies? Better than Marvel's TV show endings. That was a horrible roast, by the way. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker, not a great way to finish off the franchise for me. And of course, space horses. They probably have a better name, but I don't care to look or try to pronounce it. So I'm gonna call them what they are: space horses. Live with it. And also, it's my video, so I can do whatever the flip I want. That's right, YouTube. Can't demonetize me now, you. Rise of Skywalker. Bad way to end the franchise. Just bad. Next up, we have Last Jedi. Now, Last Jedi for me is an okay movie in its own right. Last Jedi ain't so bad. Yeah, so I'm not gonna say that it's a great Star Wars movie, but it's not bad. I will say though that Last Jedi for me was not enjoyable. Was enjoyable, but most of the fun scenes that for me and the scenes that I really did care about was just like Kylo and Rey just talking and about their relationship with Palpatine, and it was interesting. But too bad the movie doesn't look at it so much, and that's why I kind of hated Last Jedi too, because at the end it was revealed Palpatine was alive, which was a great twist, but at the end they just wasted him. Kinda like how they wasted Finn. I really gotta stop overplaying that. It's 2021. It's like if I did Gangnam Style today. Anyway, movie-wise, it's okay and decent, and just as a way to say goodbye to Luke Skywalker, it did okay. But there was that one plot, the Finn and Rose story arc, which led to absolutely nothing, because it just felt like filler. And also, it was the debut of the Space Horses. Space Horses! Space Horses! But still, it's an okay movie. But also, the whole Rey and Kylo thing in its conclusion was also bad. Yeah, you heard me. And again, these movies are just a retelling of the same old trilogy. Why would you do that? If you want to make a new Star Wars movie, just say a different story and have the same character arcs. If you're gonna make the same plot, at least make the character arcs different. And don't put in space horses in the same movie. Next up is The Force Awakens. Okay, so before people say off the flippin' bat, why did you put The Force Awakens over if you don't like it that much but like it better than Last Jedi? And to that I say, you're right, why didn't I do that? You know what? We're switching it up. Last Jedi is on top of The Force Awakens. And The Force Awakens for me is very bad. And it's a worse way to introduce this movie. We'll introduce this new trilogy of this movie. And for me, I could pretty much see why. The Force Awakens was just bad in its own right. The actor who plays Finn is a good actor. And to be honest, Finn in these movies is kind of okay. If he had something different that he was doing, then he could have worked. But instead, they just wasted him and made him the Han Solo. But still, well, the more dummied down Han Solo, because it just doesn't work. And the main focus is on Rey, sure, but what about Finn? I mean, I know side characters haven't been always the main focus, but have you ever wondered about Finn? And did you remember that he was in these movies? Yeah. But also because The Force Awakens was also a bad movie. And, by the way, this came out in 2015. So, yeah. I'm just gonna say that it was just, for me, it didn't do a whole lot. And yeah, I could say that, oh, I'm going to like this movie, but I didn't. But besides, the way that they made Finn into a stormtrooper, he just randomly saw one stormtrooper die and all of a sudden he's a good guy. What does that... What? Why? Like, I understand that you want to build more of these characters in this world, but come on! Your explanation for why a stormtrooper became a good guy was because he saw one of his dudes get killed? That's just bad story writing at its finest. And why didn't you have, like, something else? Like, even if Finn's parents were killed in front of him by stormtroopers, why didn't you go with that? That would have made more sense. Sure, it would have been cliched, but at least it would have made sense. But again, this movie is really not that great. And that's why it is below The Last Jedi. And as for the Disney Trilogy, I had a hard time thinking why putting the Obi-Wan Trilogy over the Disney one. But then in my end, I decided to put the Disney one over because at least the effects are way better. And storytelling-wise, it is a little better and it does explore some interesting ideas. But again, it's never really followed up upon. Alright, next up we have the OG Trilogy. And to me, this is a good trilogy. And why they... Also, effects-wise, I know the effects weren't all great, but again, it can be forgiven since these movies came out from 1977 to 1980, and most of the effects were practical. Okay, so first up, we have The Empire Strikes Back from 1980. So, yeah. And also, you're gonna realize that it took years for these guys to make these movies. Took like flipping years for these guys to make these movies, because again, I haven't said it before, but back then movie making business was really difficult than it is today. It's like it's not easy as like milking out every single Fast and the Furious movie every single year. Fun fact, they're on the ninth movie. And don't worry, that review will be coming soon, along with ranking all of them, which is something that I will be looking forward to. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back was kind of an overwhelming sequel. And think about it as this. You are watching your favorite show. Your character makes it to the finals of your favorite show, and he has to compete one last time to win the ultimate prize, but then he doesn't. Think of it as like that. The Empire Strikes Back, it was responsible for the whole "now I am your father" thing, but it just didn't, other than that, it just didn't do anything else to introduce us. Oh, God. Storytelling for me is a really important key figure for movies. You want to get invested into the story. Like, take, for example, Earth to Echo. You're invested into it because because you're interested in an alien. And it only has one plot. Just do that. But here's the thing about Empire Strikes Back. It has multiple other things and stuff that's talked about. Yeah, y'all remember Luke almost dies in a snowstorm, then Han Solo has to save him because he wanted to leave, but then Luke goes over and flies his spaceship to some dude named Yoda, and then Han and Leia and Chewbacca and C-3PO are stuck inside of a belly of a, well, not belly, but an asteroid of a comet while they were about to be destroyed by the Empire. yeah, it focuses on two storytellings, and one is really good. As we see, it's kind of like the Luke Skywalker side is kind of like the first Karate Kid movie. It's showing us how much Luke is experiencing but failing at. And then there's the Han and Leia side, which for me felt like it had to be written in at last minute to have some filler content. But yeah, overall, okay movie. Next up, we have Return of the Jedi, which was the last of the OG trilogy that came out in 1983. Okay, so it's no surprise that for me, well, it's kind of a surprise, but for me, this was an okay movie and it was a great way to end off the franchise. Well, what we thought was originally going to end off the franchise. These movies didn't, but these movies for me, well, this movie for me was interesting, and like I said before, it did focus on two plots, but for me, they were written okay. Sure, it was a little cliche because it was, oh, a large group of people are taking down a large group of even powerful people, but still, it felt fun and dumb, and that's what most of these movies can be. You could look at them from a fun and dumb point. And a lot of movies don't, and you don't look at a lot of movies like that. Look at it as that way. It's fun and dumb. Wow. But yeah, Return of the Jedi is a great movie, and although it wasn't the sequel ending, back then, everybody thought it was. So I feel like it deserves a respectable spot here. And now, number one, the best movie, the original, A New Hope, came out in 1977. Oh wait, I can't play the audio or else I get copyrighted, right? Well, I guess I have to make up some sort of song for this, so... Okay, I'm not going to do that because that's probably going to be on some ear rape compilation or something. Anyway, A New Hope. Looking back at the movie, it was very interesting for a space-themed Western shooter. Well, space-themed Western movie, but it was great, and it did tell a great story, in my opinion. Sure, there are some stuff that got changed because George loves to change everything, but still, it's a great movie, and looking back at it, it was not really much to say. And a lot of people say that the first movie is bad, but I disagree. The movie is great, and it does a good job introducing us to this new, trilogy of new stuff that we are about to expect. And sure, what did become a cultural hit after the first movie, and it was great. And looking back at it, sure, again, CGI was not perfect, but hey, it introduced us to a lot of characters that back in the day you never think would make millions and millions of dollars. And even though, and it did produce a lot of laughable bootleg versions, well, bootleg movies. And hey, when you write a movie that a lot of people try to bootleg it, you know you've written a great movie. Side note, y'all know Turkish Star Wars was a thing? Yeah, me neither. But anyway, a great movie and a great way to start out this new trilogy. And sure, I do have a lot of problems with, some people dying in these movies, but overall, it was a great way to sort of show the drama in effect, even though if it's not super cliched. But again, a great movie, and I definitely recommend you check it out. If you have a Disney Plus subscription, that is. And that is it. To finally put into perspective, here is my little rankings of all the movies, with Rogue One, Solo, Revenge of the Sith, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and A New Hope. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that the sequels were bad, and I do agree. They were bad, but there was some redeemable stuff out of here. And yeah, the first movie is obviously the greatest movie because it introduced us to all of this. But even still, these movies really do have a different feeling and feel more cliched as you watch them, in my opinion. And sure, you're gonna notice them during time, but hey, Disney's gonna keep spitting out sequels or TV shows, and who knows how much merchandise they'll get. But guess what? I guess that's what we fans like about these movies. We as fans just want to see or criticize these movies because, again, these movies aren't perfect, but they're fun. And although there were going to be some moments that we all know were going to be bad, there were some moments that were good. So whatever is in store in 2023, let's just hope it doesn't end up as bad as it is. Thank you so much for watching my rankings, so be sure to like this video, comment on it, and of course, subscribe. You can follow me on all these platforms. I am your boy, Ocho Loco YT. See you in the next one.